The 2026 World Cup brings 48 teams to North America, and the hype is already everywhere. But buried underneath the marketing is a mathematical reality that is going to wreak havoc on your daily life. This chart tracks group stage matches over time. For 24 years, the schedule maxed out at 48 games. Now watch what happens for 2026. The volume spikes to 72 matches, all crammed into a punishing 15-day window. This volume compresses 72 matches into a 2-week window, turning the group stage into a physical war of attrition for the viewer. Treating your viewing schedule like a purist badge of honor will backfire. You will wreck your workplace productivity and drain your cognitive bandwidth before the knockout rounds even begin. We must drop the fear of missing out. The math dictates that we adopt a ruthless, analytical framework to protect our sleep architecture while still extracting the maximum enjoyment from the tournament. This heat map plots the schedule's 5 brutal kickoff slots: 1 a.m., 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11 p.m. Notice the massive red cluster lighting up the midnight to 8 a.m. burnout zone. This directly conflicts with human biology, landing squarely inside standard REM sleep. Take Match 1, South Africa versus Mexico. It kicks off at 1 a.m. on June 12th. If you set an alarm for that game, you immediately fracture your circadian rhythm for the entire opening week. Then comes the midweek trap. On June 13th, Canada plays Bosnia, again at 1 a.m. Waking up in the middle of the night for a low-stakes group match is a total unforced error in time management. The marketing pushes high-energy montages, but the physical reality is much quieter. Dragging yourself out of bed at 4 a.m. means sitting alone in the dark, hours before dawn, trying to stay awake through a scoreless draw. You have to stop treating all 72 matches as equals. To survive this schedule, every single kickoff must be strictly evaluated by its objective return on investment. Let's look at the 2 standard approaches. First is the purist route. This means committing to the 1 a.m. alarm and staying awake through the 4 a.m. slot, hoping to catch an unpredictable Cinderella story. The trade-off here is steep. Maximizing your live football consumption is paid for with a massive sleep debt by day 4. By the time the critical knockout stages arrive, you lack the physical capacity to actually enjoy them. On the other end of the spectrum is the Tier 1 only filter. In this scenario, you only suffer the 4 a.m. wake-up call for heavyweights, like Match 6 featuring Brazil versus Morocco. The outcome of this filter is highly efficient. You secure a high emotional return on your lost sleep while preserving your stamina for the rest of the week. But the cost is context. You completely miss the chaos unfolding in the lower-ranked groups, forcing you to rely solely on morning highlight reels to understand the tournament narrative. Neither extreme is sustainable. Surviving the group stage requires a method to measure a match's objective value against the biological friction of its start time. This chart plots match quality on the y-axis against time-of-day friction on the x-axis. I call this the viewing ROI matrix. The top right quadrant is your must-watch zone. These are the high-stakes games falling in the low-friction 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. slots. Down in the bottom right is background noise. These are daytime blowouts. You skip the alarm clock entirely and just let them play on a second monitor while you work. The top left is the painful alarm. These matches carry high biological friction at 4 a.m., but the elite caliber of the teams involved justifies the cost. This specific quadrant is reserved for generational talent. A player like Lionel Messi demands your live attention, regardless of what the clock says. Finally, the bottom left quadrant is the trap. These are high-friction, low-tier matchups sitting in the punishing 1 a.m. slot. You must avoid these entirely. Applying this matrix turns your time into a strict currency, ensuring you only spend your limited energy where the emotional return is guaranteed. Let's map the matchday filter. Node 1. Is your team playing? If yes, watch. If no, proceed to Node 2. Is it a top 10 matchup? If no, watch morning highlights. If yes, advance to Node 3. Does it start between 1 and 5 a.m.? This isolates the true heavyweight battles. A tense collision between elite European squads is exactly the kind of high-friction reality Node 3 addresses. If the game does fall in that 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. window, your required action is to pre-plan a nap. If it doesn't, you watch comfortably. Rigidly following this tree protects you from getting sucked into a low-tier game just because you happen to be awake checking your phone. How you implement this depends entirely on your persona. If you are a time-poor optimizer, stick strictly to the flowchart. Limit live views to your home nation, accept the VOD trade-off, and protect your career. If you are a die-hard purist and insist on the 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. blocks, you must treat this tournament like shift work. Audit your daytime corporate schedule immediately to carve out recovery hours. And if you are a casual fan, you have full permission to ignore the noise. Watch only the comfortable primetime hours and let the cultural osmosis of social media fill in the rest of the details. But whoever you are, failing to curate your group stage schedule guarantees that by the quarterfinals, you will be entirely too exhausted to care. The 15-day onslaught is approaching quickly, and preparation is your only defense. The value you extract from this World Cup depends entirely on your focus. Curate your schedule ruthlessly for the moments that actually define history.